What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Grand Force Gaming. Nova here with another Street Fighter Duel video, and today we have a brand new fighter that just was released. So, as always, we're just going to do a quick little overview and then hop into the trials. I'm not going to do a really full in-depth look at him because I want to do a little bit more testing and then give you guys a more comprehensive video, but I just want to say that I called it. We did not have a team for Fashion Ken, and I have said before that we're lacking a C2 bleed unit to actually have his damage be actualized. I didn't think that we would see it come out so soon afterward, but this just kind of validates the fact that Fashion Ken is out and you did have to pay for him to get him. But El Fuerte is doing bleed on his C2. He's doing passive bleed stacking with his 3 out of 6 vehicles, which is amazing that you only need 3 out of 6 to do this because it makes his passive that much better. So his passive basically has a simple way of putting it. When he gets debuffed, he heals himself, and he does an attack that can stun. So this is a pretty cool thing. It's conditional, assuming that you're getting debuffed, but he's doing healing, and then the 3 out of 6 makes that counter attack stack bleed. So it's conditional because you're not always getting debuffed, but it is a pretty common thing with bosses to have debuffs stack on you, especially like in Crusade. There's that one boss that stacks a bunch of burn. So it's not uncommon. I think he's going to be definitely more useful in boss fights, but as we've talked about already, that's definitely where the meta is shifting to. And now I know that's kind of always been an underlying thing. Boss fights have been very important this whole time, but we are seeing more fighters be specific to bosses. And that's why I say that the meta is shifting now because, boss fights were always a thing in the game. But it wasn't so clear cut that these new fighters were like, okay, this is the specified use for it. Because some of these fighters that we've seen come out are not good for PvE. Fashion Ken is not good for PvE. He is clearly a boss unit. Same thing with Flame Chun-Li. So anyway, using him I think is going to be very interesting because, like I said, every time he gets debuffed, he's going to be stacking some bleed. And now you might think, well, that might not be that much. But if you are using Fashion Ken, his C3 only allows him to get defense ignoring for 3 stacks. So you only need 3 stacks of bleed. So if you're using a C2, there's 1. Okay, I know the percentage is a little bit low. You're not always going to get the stack, but if you're cycling fast enough and then you're getting at least some off of his passive, they will continue to stack even if his C2 doesn't get it. You're primarily going to be getting it from his passive and from his 3 out of 6 vehicles. So I think that the potential is definitely there. I pulled him already. I have just an A grade copy, so it's not really anything I can actually test because you need him on the field because you need him receiving debuffs. And at an A grade, even in the boss fights now, he's just going to get wiped out. So I can't even use him in Crusade. I did use him in the tag position with Fashion Ken just to see if there's an increase in damage as opposed to other teams that I was using. And I did notice that there was already. So that just proves that the bleed mechanic on Fashion Ken C3 is definitely the way to go. Okay, anyway, enough about that. I think that that's definitely his route for use at this point in time. But this trial overall wasn't too difficult. There's one fight that I think is worth noting. It took me quite a while to beat it, and I think it's just kind of an RNG base. Of course, there's one with E Honda. These teams don't always work. Sometimes you have to run it multiple times to get it. There is a lot of RNG involved in here. And it's actually, so it's this bottom one here. You can see that I went down to it and I left it. I clipped to skip that one because I spent so much time trying to beat it and I couldn't. It's because I was trying all these different combinations and I just tried one combination and tried it 3 or 4 times and then it just worked. So that's just the reality. Sometimes these are more RNG based than I would like. It's definitely annoying when you're trying to just get through these. It's not like the rewards are even that good, right? And then it's 20 minutes into these trials and you still haven't beaten. It's what am I even doing this for? This is just not ideal. You need to have, more flexibility with fighters in this. Sometimes they just give you terrible fighters to use against different combinations and team comps. And I don't know. You still can't put the trial fighter in the tag position, which I don't understand. You should be able to do that. Because in some of these, I didn't even use him. I didn't use his skills at all. I had Viper available. You know, why am I going to use him when I could just use Viper instead? So this is what I was talking about. It's a little bit more difficult than I think it should be. There's some RNG involved in it. If you do this combination, it will work for you. It might just take a little while. Like their team is stacked. It's extremely difficult to deal with. You got to kind of hope that things go in your favor in order for this one to do well. Hope that you can get some passive interrupts from El Fuerte, and hope that they don't get a lot of passive interrupts on their Blanca, because that's what makes this one so difficult. Viper, the Mad Ryu, it's just tough. So don't get discouraged on this one. Just keep using the same team, and then you'll eventually get it. But anyway, that's the trial. I do want to do a more comprehensive look at El Fuerte in the future, for sure. I want to do a little bit more testing, but stay tuned for that video. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, if it helped you, please let me know in the comments. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, like as well, and we will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.